Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Tuesday morning the 25th of November. We're going back to Northeast Tennessee today to the case of missing then 5-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells, who went missing from outside of her home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, which is nestled in between the towns of Rogersville and Kingsport, on June 15th, 2021. Almost 4.5 years later, Summer remains missing. Well, the case was very cold. So we thought here on social media. Very few people were talking about Summer. I wasn't talking about Summer very often. I've got over 600 videos in my Summer Wells playlist on this channel. And I'd run out of things to talk about. And unless you want to, keep repeating the same information, then you can't continue to talk about a case on a regular basis. So I would find any little thing just to mention Summer's name. But that is until a few days ago when the news broke that a 27-acre property 9.5 miles away from Summer's home was raided. And this is the home of an elderly man called Paul Hill, who is in his 80s, salt of the earth, according to the locals. A lot of locals supporting him, a lot of locals saying there's no way that he would be involved in the abduction and probable death of a little girl. He happens to be Fred Hill's uncle. Fred Hill was living on Ben Hill Road, just down the road from Summer, at the time of Summer's disappearance. We've heard all about Fred Hill. I've discussed Fred Hill at length on this channel because he said some pretty wacky stuff. So it's easy to take the piss out of him for some things that he said that are clearly false. But there's other things that you think, is that true? Could that possibly be true? And some things could be true. Yeah, some things could be true. He married Ziggy, a YouTuber who'd covered the Summer Wells case. So what do we know above and beyond this raid on the elderly man Paul Hill's property? Not a lot. The TBI nor Hawkins County Sheriff's Office have made any further comment, despite news channels ringing them, going to the Sheriff's Office. I think Ansley Daniel from WJHL actually went to Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. No one is speaking. We know the raid began on November 13th, so it was almost a week before the news broke in the media. And locals had said that they'd seen loads of cars, up to 15, according to one person, on Van Hill Road, the 3500 block of Van Hill Road. Where do we go from here? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Until we get more information from either the TBI or Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, then as far as we know, this property is still in play. I spent the day yesterday chasing creators around the internet who were talking about Summer Wells. All of the old animosities are creeping back to the fore, creeping back into people's live streams. And I'm sure there are new ones that are being created as we speak. And look, when the Summer Wells case was big news in 2021, after Summer went missing, and into 2022, the creators who were backbiting each other, just really drama filled. I kept out of it. I don't get involved in the drama. I'm not on anyone's side except Summer's. So if there's information that comes out on one channel, I'll talk about it if I find it interesting. I don't care what the channel is, I'll talk about it. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that came out yesterday, first of all. But then we're going to ask the simple question, what do we actually know and where do we go from here? Let's go. Before we get into the video, can I just ask, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. This has been my goal. I've got a little over a month to go and well over 1,000 subscribers to collect yet. I don't think I'm going to do it, but with your help I can. So if you're not subscribed, please do. It's completely free at your end. And then once I reach the big 100k, YouTube will send me a silver play button plaque for my wall. If you are subscribed already, you can still help the channel by liking the videos that I make, leaving a comment. It shows the YouTube algorithm that you're engaging with the content, and also share the videos so that more people might know that this channel exists. All right, without further ado, where are we gonna start? This is not in the order, I don't think, that stuff came out. Let's talk first about the email. Now, I talked about the email in yesterday's video. This was an email that Ziggy showed. It was supposedly John Pruitt, who is the lead detective on the case from Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, emailing Fred's sister, Karen, that Fred was no longer a suspect, no longer a person of interest. Well, Brooks from Crime Lines and Lies called both the TBI and the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office regarding this email.
For Central Dispatch, call 423-272-7121.
So this is Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. She called the TBI first. They told her they didn't know anything about it. So this is Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
If you know your party's extension, you may dial it now. For administration, press 1. For the jail, press 2. For visitation or commissary, press 3. I'm sorry, that number is not valid. Thank you for calling Sheriff's Office.
Hi, my name is Brooks. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
Hi.
My friend Ange is on the phone. She's from East Tennessee. It's about the Summer Wells case. I'm sure you knew that's what it's about. There's an email floating around saying that Fred Hill is no longer a suspect, and they're saying that this is from Detective Pruitt. Can that be authenticated? Because the TBI says they know nothing about him not being a suspect.
I have not heard anything to that effect. I think that's fake news.
Okay.
You think it's a fake email?
Yes.
Yeah, she said, well, you know who it is? It's that woman that's kind of cuckoo that married Fred Hill.
Unless it comes from the TBI or the Sheriff's Office, it has no validity.
Well, she's got an email that she's saying from Detective Pruitt to her, and she's stating those facts, but she's not showing, you know, the from and to.
It is fake news.
Okay, thank you so much for your...
Okay, so that's the dispatch from Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, who says that the email that Ziggy showed is fake news. However, there's a little bit more to it than that. There was a long discussion on this channel about why it looks like it's fake. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say this email is fake based on what a dispatcher from Hawkins County Sheriff's Office says, because how would the dispatcher know all of John Pruitt's emails? You know, it's just the standard response, it's fake news. If it doesn't come from the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office or the TBI or another law enforcement agency, then it can't be validated, it's fake news. They are sick to the back teeth of social media. So, later that day, Benny Keys, looking very comfortable, made a clarification. The email comes from 6up Media. Now, I don't know 6up Media's channel. I went there yesterday. I can't find the live stream in which this information originated. However, Benny has a clip. And apparently, this was a genuine email sent to Fred's sister, Karen, but it was regarding Cotton Simpson, not regarding Summer Wells. If you remember, when Fred was in jail and he was having conversations with Ziggy, you remember this if you followed the case, right? It's kind of tangential to Summer's case, but also very relevant because during those jail phone calls, Fred announced that Cotton Simpson was responsible for the disappearance of Summer. Summer's body was under a waterfall in Laurel Run Park, which is close to Cotton Simpson's house. Cotton Simpson is dead. He died from an accidental fall, but Cotton Simpson lives about 5 miles away from Ben Hill Road. But his property backed onto Laurel Run Park. This is Laurel Run Park here. I remember Ryan finds truth, trying to find the waterfall, trying to find a cave, trying to find it. And look, it was like running around in circles. But if you remember, Fred Hill was given a polygraph for Cotton Simpson. Do you remember the information that Fred had regarding Cotton Simpson? So not Cotton Simpson and any possible involvement in the disappearance of Summer Wells, but the death of Cotton Simpson. They were interested in Fred. He had knowledge that wasn't public. So they were concerned that maybe Cotton Simpson didn't die accidentally. Maybe he didn't fall. Maybe he was pushed. And they gave Fred a polygraph. Fred's sister apparently found out that this polygraph that Fred had was inconclusive. All right? You remember all that? Well, this email, according to Six Up via Benny, the email was genuine, but it was regarding Cotton Simpson, and it was sent to Fred's sister regarding that situation.
And I want to reiterate to everybody, including you, Ziggy and Fred, that this was very calculated. The fact that Detective Pruitt emailed this to Karen while he was searching for this baby. Listen, everybody, turn your volume levels way the fuck up. Below is the last email you sent to Sheriff Lawson. I do want to say that she did send him an email prior to this with a link and a timestamp concerning Cotton Simpson. Okay? Let me go on. You sent to Sheriff Lawson, I'm Detective Pruitt, and the sheriff asked me to follow up concerning Fred Hill. Mr. Hill has been investigated extensively. And with the
say, baby, I got my Jody Sue going on. You hear me?
All right, so this is relating to Cotton Simpson. We need the full email chain. I don't know what to tell you. So, what am I going to conclude from all this? Whether the email is genuine or not, and if the email is genuine, it's not relating to someone else, it's relating to Cotton Simpson. Let's just put a lid on it and say, does it really matter? If it's not relating to someone else, it doesn't matter. So in my opinion, just in my little brain, Fred Hill is still on the table. He's still a person of interest. Now, what about Andy Bernard? Because Andy Bernard is also related to Paul Hill. And Andy Bernard lived with Jodie Sue Brown at the time Summer disappeared, just across from the Wells at 125 Ben Hill Road. And Andy Bernard is Paul Hill's great-nephew. So, Fred swears down, it's like a little cousin's war going on, it's been going on for ages, that Andy was on the road at roughly the time when Summer would have disappeared. Andy Bernard swears down he wasn't, and that he's on camera at work. And he only got back to Ben Hill around 7 p.m. and all the cops were starting to show up. Now, I think it was Benny, and this is ages ago, if anybody remembers this. Didn't Benny, and it may not have been Benny, but I remember it being Benny. But anyway, somebody called John Pruitt and asked if Andy Bernard was still a suspect. And John Pruitt, in his own voice, it wasn't an email, it was actually a voice call, said that Andy Bernard was not a suspect. Does anybody remember that? Because I can't find it, but maybe I've got it in my files somewhere, but I can't find it. It could well be that we've got Andy Bernard, who isn't a suspect in law enforcement's eyes because they can prove where he was. If he was on camera at work, then they can prove where he was. But Fred Hill is still on the table. I think that's important to know. Anyhow, moving on. We've now got Ernie Shell, who's cropping up on a bunch of different panels. And again, I'm not saying this in any way, shape or form to take a side. I'm not interested in taking sides. I'm interested in getting to the truth. And what I don't like is false information. You got to work out what is false, what isn't, like with the email, right? Work out whether it's genuine or not, and then you can make a decision as to how credible it is based on the first pass is whether it's genuine or not. So Ernie is going on a bunch of panels claiming that he's working with the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and getting insider information. Right? I don't believe that anybody is working with the TBI or Hawkins County and getting insider information. These police agencies do not like social media. They're not going to work with social media creators. They're not. They're just not. All right. So Lisa Kay has something to say. Called both the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office regarding Ernie's claims that he's working with the TBI and Hawkins County.
TBI.
Hi, I'm sure you're very busy today, so I'm sorry to bother you, but there's a person called Ernest Shell that's a wanted fugitive. I know he has an active warrant, but he claims he's working closely with TBI and they're sending him confidential reports.
That's not accurate. That's not accurate. He says that all the time on social media. We have many people that call in, and it's not accurate information. He is not working with TBI.
All right, so he's not working with TBI. What about Hawkins County?
For administration, press 1. For the jail, press 2. For visitation or commissary, press 3.
Oh, yes, Renee, last night. Claimed he had all the search dog reports from Summerwell's investigation. Hi, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have a question about the Summerwell's case. Someone named Ernest Shaw claims that he's working closely with Hawkins County, that you're updating him on any new developments, sending him reports on the case, and he's soliciting money. Is any of this true?
No, it's a scam.
Okay, all right.
Okay, short and sweet from Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. Look, Ernie claims that this dog was the dog that alerted on Fred's property. This dog from Hawkins County, from one of the search reports that he's got in working with Hawkins County. Well, no, this dog is not from Tennessee. This dog, I did a Google Lens search, a reverse image search for this dog. This dog is called Goose. This dog actually is employed by the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office. Incredible Canine Goose does it again. This is from 2022. A traffic stop in Sebastian County led to the arrest of a man for trafficking charges after he was found to be transporting nearly a pound of fentanyl and a pound of meth. The driver was initially stopped for a traffic violation, but suspicious behaviour resulted in the deputy and agents from the 1221 Judicial Drug Task Force to investigate further. Canine Goose was deployed and quickly alerted. Deputies and DTF agents then conducted a search and found a significant amount of illegal drugs and money. The investigation by the HCSO and Drug Task Force is ongoing. So this is Canine Goose. Where is Sebastian County Sheriff's Office? Well, Sebastian County Sheriff's Office is in Arkansas. Look, no one is working with the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. Finally, a lot of people are criticising Jason Jensen, the PI from Utah, for getting involved in the Summerwell's case at this late stage. The only reason why Jason Jensen has taken an interest in the Summerwell's case is because back in June, someone called in a tip. They didn't want to go to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, so they trusted Jason with it, and it was about two brothers. I concluded, once this raid on the property belonging to Paul Hill, who has two sons, two brothers, I convinced myself that the tip that Jason Jensen got in June was related to this current raid. And apparently it isn't. It is not. It's a different tip. Don't know whether that tip has been run down and excluded, but that is completely different brothers, not Paul Hill's sons. The brothers Randy and Frank. Not those brothers. So that's why Jason Jensen has taken an interest. And he posted 15 hours ago as I record this, my 2 cents on Summerwell's as one with experience. There are typically 3 scenarios for missing children: wander off, abduction, and death and concealment. What people are failing to consider is the hybrid probability. Wander off, abduction. People claim online that a wander off didn't happen because a search failed to locate Summer, and others claim it was impossible for an abduction to occur because there were so many dogs at the home. It's my understanding that tracking dogs followed a scent to the road where it ended, and it's my understanding that there were surveillance recordings of various vehicles travelling through the area of Ben Hill, Beech Creek that day. I surmise from this information that she wandered down to the road where she was picked up by someone in one of those vehicles. We all should focus on the vehicles to identify drivers in the area that afternoon before memories fade. Well, we know about the Toyota Tacoma, maroon or red, 1998 to 2000 model that was seen. A delivery driver called in the tip. It was seen either on June 14th or June 15th. The delivery driver couldn't remember, but the TBI still has it on their newsroom as a valid tip. Right, so the search for that Tacoma was on. As I said yesterday, I do have some information. I can't say any more than what I said in yesterday's video, so go and check that out. But I've believed for a long time that absolutely no one is going to come up on that hill with a bunch of people there, a bunch of vehicles, dogs barking, all the rest of it. I know that people have said, Dawn has said, Julie Sue has said that the dogs weren't there that day. Okay. All right. No one's going to go up on the hill to abduct a child from the basement. It's not going to happen. However, if Summer wandered down to either Ben Hill Road, either via the driveway or via, she's not going to go that way. That's the steep part. But she could go down the dog trail, which comes out on Ben Hill. It's kind of there-ish. And there's also a way down here, down the power line, cut there. And that goes to the creek. And that's also part of the Wells property. And that's quite a shallow walk. That's the shallow side of the hill. So she's not going to go that way. She's going to go that way. So whether she wandered that way or wandered that way, it's very possible that if she finds herself off the hill, either by chance or by design, the possibility for then is an abduction. I don't believe that Summer was put in a vehicle at this point. I don't. Because of the scent alerts, and again, this is Fred Hill's information. Scent alert here, the goal is a scent alert on Fred's property, and then the footprints. One on Mary Sexton's land, one on Mr. Phillips' land. I think if Summer was abducted, I think she was taken by foot or by horseback possibly. I don't think she would have got up here onto Mary Sexton's land by herself, because this, you can't see it from, this 2D image, but this is high up on a ridge. You can tell, I've got all of this in previous videos. You can tell this by the elevation change, but this is high up on a ridge. Why would a 5-year-old climb up there on her own? I think she was taken out and the vehicle was waiting here somewhere. And if that's the case, then that was by design. Was she taken to Paul Hills? It remains to be seen. Let's see what shakes out. It doesn't mean to say that Paul Hill knew anything about this. It doesn't even mean that she was taken to Paul Hills immediately. Could be that there's evidence, remains, whatever, that it was deposited on Paul Hill's property. There is a very good reason, an evidentiary reason, why the FBI swamped this property. A very good reason. So, that's what we know so far. Cut through a bit of the BS and let's focus on the facts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Good.